When your skin is not inflamed, you're happier and your cortisol is down, your immune system isn't trying to flare things up, and then you have clarity. So it's really interesting when you start thinking about your systems and how interconnected they are and how you can nourish them in various ways to just have optimal wellness.
You're listening to the Plant-Based Diet Podcast, where we talk about all things plant-based. I'm Esther Garfin, the host of this show and founder of Alternative Food Network. Join me and my amazing array of guests who are a mix of healthcare professionals, industry executives, and people with an interesting story to tell about their plant-based journey. Let us help you with your journey, wherever you're at, to learn the what, why, and how to eat plant-based. Hello, everybody. Today we're talking about plant-based skincare. Recently, I had an eczema flare-up on one finger after a very long time of everything being good. And it reminded me of the cycle of trying a new product, hoping it's going to be the thing that finally helps, only to realize that it didn't help. And this is what actually pushed me to pay much closer attention to what I eat and what I put on my body way back when. I ended up fixing my eczema for several years, so I was a bit disappointed when I had this flare-up. So today I'm chatting with Jodi Scott, who is the founder of Green Goo, a plant-based first aid and herbal wellness company. Every plant they use in their products is there for a purpose, and they don't use synthetics, perfumes, or artificial ingredients. Now, before we begin, a quick reminder about Alternative Food Network's other podcasts, Culinary Medicine Recipe and, in Spanish, Medicina Culinaria, which are hosted by a triple board certified physician and culinary medicine expert. To give you an example of the type of content that she talks about, the first episode of the latest season was all about how to fire up our metabolism, and the host shared a day full of meals that have protein, fiber, and healthy fats. In fact, I'm going to put it in the show notes of this episode just so it's easier for you to find. Also on social media, you can find more of our content on Instagram at Alternative Food Network and on Alternative Food Network's YouTube channel and LinkedIn page. And now to the conversation. Hi, Jodi. Welcome to the show. It's so nice to have you on today.
It's wonderful to be here with you. Thank you for having me.
I must admit, I'm doing this episode out of self-interest. Because when I saw what your company does, and it's plant-based skincare, and there is some eczema products there, I thought, this I'm really interested in. Because for anyone who's listened to our show over the last few years, you might have heard me say that in the past I've had eczema. And so when I saw Green Goo, I thought, time to do a plant-based skincare episode. So thank you very much for coming on the show. I have to admit, I'd never heard of Green Goo before. But when I was reading on your website, it's in over 120,000 stores in the U.S., and it even made it into Oscar gift bags. So tell me a little bit about Green Goo.
Yeah, so my mom, sister, and I started this. So 3 generations of women. My sister's an herbalist and a midwife, and then I was pre-med, got my master's in health psychology. And we saw this opportunity that the OTC, the over-the-counter space, had not been disrupted. And here we had the option for organic foods, we had the option for clean personal care products, but we still didn't have clean first aid products. And what was even more interesting to me was that the natural consumer was willing to abandon their natural ethos, including myself, because we were told that these traditional chemical-laden products were the only products that could get the job done. So you'd open up my first aid cabinet, and there was all this one-time use, no sustainability products full of chemicals. And then the conventional consumer was also incredibly curious because what was available for over-the-counter for things like eczema was not working, along with only use for 7 to 10 days, and then you have to discontinue use if symptoms persist, and then it's inconvenient to go see your doctor and so forth. And so our goal was to make plant-based first aid that was first superior in efficacy, but also sustainable and clean ingredients.
And to be clear, your products aren't only for first aid or for skin issues. It's also for daily care, right?
You got it. So we started in the first aid space, and then we expanded into personal care and beauty. And, although we disrupted the first aid category to say, hey, plant-based can be better, we're also changing how you look at skincare and saying you can give your skin nutrition on a regular basis, which will not only help hydrate and restore your skin barrier, but it makes it more resilient to the exposures and the stress that we invite to it. And so Green Goo's sort of at that intersection of a hybrid between first aid and wellness personal care for your skin.
And you were mentioning just before we started that your product is at Johns Hopkins?
Yeah, so Johns Hopkins has been using and endorsing our product for over a decade in their scleroderma and skin condition department. And it was actually our customers that were going to them and saying, I'm getting these results. So they called us and they were like, who is Green Goo? and so we started supplying them with product. And truly, eczema solution, our dry skin formula, is what put us on the map, because we were making these ingredients in our kitchen, taking them through, an old ancient process of how you extract from plants. And we needed to scale in order to be able to meet the demand of all of these stores and so forth. And it was actually an individual whose son had eczema. He used our product and he happened to run a manufacturing facility and said, hey, this is the only product that has ever worked for my son. And now the world needs these products. So we are going to find a way to manufacture this. And so to this day, we still make most of the ingredients ourselves. So the plants come to our manufacturing facility. We take it through this extraction process that protects the integrity of the plant, yields the highest amount of the medicinal properties from the plants, and then those custom oils go into the product. So you can't get those custom oils anywhere else. And then we have them registered with the FDA to give that next step validation, because now the FDA is investing in botanical research so that we can call out specific herbs for having active and medicinal properties.
Is it at that stage already where you can make claims?
We can, yes. Now,
so can you give us some examples?
So my sister, being the herbalist, as we're going through the registration process, would like to say calendula, because we know calendula is an antifungal, anti-yeast, antimicrobial. It repairs the skin, and the FDA recognizes it as an astringent. So we have to, on our labels, recognize and call it out as the FDA does. So my sister, being the herbalist, is like, well, marshmallow root is not an active ingredient yet with the FDA. So we have to put something like marshmallow root as an inactive ingredient. So they are still early in their, I call it, building the data book, but they're doing it, which is fantastic.
To expand upon that for those who are into the science of all of this, and FDA regulations, you did send me this dry skin product for eczema. And on the back, it has here active ingredients and inactive ingredients. So is this correct? If it's FDA approved, then it would come under the active ingredient headline?
So anything that's FDA registered, they very specifically, we can only call out the herbs that they recognize as active ingredients and how they speak to those herbs. So, for example, the dry skin formula you have there will have, should have like the red clover flower, the chamomile. We can only recognize those as the active ingredients because the FDA recognizes them. Then you'll see a number of inactive ingredients, and then we won't call out what they do. And so, although our inactive ingredients are very functional and operational in the formula, we're not able to make claims against those inactive ingredients. Now, what you also find in the OTC market is oftentimes they don't even list out the inactive ingredients. There's a number of ingredients that if it's at a small enough point, you don't need to disclose it. And sometimes those are some of the ingredients that could be the more challenging ones, whether they're endocrine disruptors or if you're prone to allergies and sensitivities.
And I guess on that topic, your products are made of herbs and plants. It's natural, no phthalates, no chemicals. But natural isn't always 100% good for people. Could there be any contraindications, or if they have allergies? Are you aware of any people that have sensitivity issues or contraindications with your products?
So we always recommend doing a patch test if you're someone who has allergies or you've seen you've had some sensitivities. Now, these herbs are all topical and infused in a way that you typically just do not get those allergic reactions the same way you would with some of these other harsh chemicals. But what's interesting too, like beeswax, there is a small population of people out there that have a sensitivity to beeswax. So there are people who have allergies to even a natural ingredient, and contraindications are fairly small. You may be like, oh, okay, this is not giving it, it's taking the itch out, but I'm getting some red bumps. That's when you want to discontinue use. Most people who know that they're allergic, for example, to beeswax, which is probably the most common allergy that you would have in a natural lineup, they've already encountered this, because it's in most of the lip balms and different kinds of natural products that are available on the market. And it's a small group.
And for our audience, I mean, we have let's say a plant-forward audience. They're not necessarily vegan, but if you're using beeswax, does that mean someone who's vegan may not use these products?
A true vegan typically does not use beeswax. Now, we had a vegan line for a while where we were using beeswax alternatives. And, beeswax has this beautiful medicinal profile that works so nicely with the entourage effect of all of the plants and as a carrier. And so we found that it made better sense for us to keep the beeswax in and not lose that medicinal component. So we do also have oils where we infuse the oils with the same plants. So for example, like the eczema oil that you have, that was an example for someone who, may not want to use the dry skin formula for their eczema, but then they can use the vegan alternative, which is the eczema oil.
Let's backtrack to something I opened with, that your products made it into Oscar gift bags. How did that happen?
Oh, it's very interesting how people find our product. Matter of fact, I was talking to someone on a podcast the other day, and he's like, do you have shampoo and conditioner? I said, well, actually, we did a test of shampoo and conditioner. And literally this last weekend, I was pulling the very last bottles of the shampoo and conditioner for a celebrity who just absolutely loves this particular product. And it's not in production right now. And I was trying to find what I could find left. And so it really was sort of a word of mouth opportunity. And what was great is this was really in our early days. I mean, we might have been in the market maybe 2 years. And so it was such an amazing experience to have that opportunity. And I think it was a great way for us to get our name out. And at that time, there was no plant-based renaissance that we call today. When I went to a major pharmacy retailer and I said, I have a plant-based Neosporin alternative, he about fell out of his chair. The word plant-based wasn't what we know it today. Right. And I said, just take it home, give it a try, and you'll see what it does. And thankfully, he became a fan himself and was willing to take that test. But fast forward today, I think we know what that term means, and we have more people looking for those solutions. And especially when you can find a clean, natural alternative that will actually work. Because if you can protect the integrity of your system and your body and give it what it needs, when you do need to have a major medical intervention, you're in a healthier state. A physician loves to work on a healthy patient. Your recovery is going to be that much better. So I always tell my customers, especially people who have never tried a natural product before, I'm like, you've had poison ivy for 6 months? Why don't you try this product? It'll be gone in 2 days. And it's so great when they come back and they're like, wow, I've never tried a natural product. What else do you have?
Well, I've only had these products a few days, so I haven't been using them long term. But what I can say is that for anyone who's weary of natural products because they don't like the smells, let's say, these products smell good. They're not off-putting. So for me, that's always a big one in addition to efficacy. If it doesn't smell good, I'm not going to use it. So
smell is so important.
Yeah.
And we don't use any synthetic fragrances. And what you will smell is the plants. And that's why the
Yeah.
name Green Goo came to be, was we didn't want to use the word ointment in the name. And we were like, well, it's green because it's real plants. You see that it has that hue. And it's just and the goo was just fun. And we said, okay, if we're going to disrupt the first aid category, we might as well really disrupt it.
We're going to be putting a link in our show notes that our audience, if they're interested in purchasing, they're going to get 10% off. So thank you very much for that. That'll be in the show notes. What is your biggest seller?
Our biggest seller, so the product that people know us most for is our first aid product. So this particular product was designed to be an antiseptic alternative, but what we wanted to do was bring more value, because we also want you to clean up your first aid cabinet. And oftentimes you have a lot of these one-time use products. So it is literally your first aid kit in one little tin. So it's for cuts and scrapes, but bug bites, bee stings, cold sores, poison ivy, chafing, ingrown toenails, takes the sting and the itch out, slows down the bleeding, speeds up the healing. That's what people most know us for. Our number one selling product, though, is our skin repair product. And that was meant to be an after burn and scar, you got it, and for sunspots, like a Moderna alternative. It has evolved, though, into this multifaceted, we'll call it the Swiss Army knife of skincare conditions. So it is a wonderful anti-aging. I put this on my skin every night before I go to bed. The aloe vera is beautifully hydrating with the blue chamomile, the blue yarrow, the rose hip, so it really penetrates the various layers of the skin while also creating the antioxidant properties. But then we're also finding that people are also using this with an especially big flare-up with your eczema. So using the dry skin formula to be able to really address the flare-up, but the aloe vera has such a nice cooling and calming effect, especially if you're having a flare-up and it's like you're getting ready to go to bed and you're just having that burning sensation. That repair is just a beautiful way to calm that, and you can just feel that while the dry skin is doing its actions.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want this episode to be only about eczema, but because I have this personal experience with it, I will say, when you have an eczema flare-up, and I don't know if this would be the same for psoriasis or other skin issues, but when you have a flare-up, it's itchy, it's hot, it's uncomfortable, and then so that's what you're saying would be good for the skin repair salve to use. And then afterwards, when it calms down, it dries up. And then you can get cracks. So would that be the time to use the dry skin?
You got it.
Product?
Perfection.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, our products, because of the way they nourish your skin, the more you use it, the less you'll need it. And so what I say with the flare-up, you start out very aggressively initially, and then eventually you want to just continue to use these products more as a nutritive skincare wellness activity that then will help make your skin more resilient. So then you just want to, we say butter up. Just go ahead and butter up and put it on your body once a week, even when you're not having a flare-up. And your skin will just drink it up, and you'll notice that sometimes, like my daughter has eczema, and we've got it under control pretty great, except for chlorine. She gets into a pool, and it's like all bets are off. So we make sure that in the summertime, we're being much more aggressive with her putting it on a regular basis before she goes into the pool, and just making sure that she's nourishing that skin barrier and she doesn't have as bad of a flare-up.
Our show, we try to address the health aspects of plant-based eating. And so for me, I believe eating less sugar and plant-based eating also helps with all of this. I think that is how I fixed myself. But certainly when there are flare-ups, you do need some products. And in my opinion, cortisone is not helpful, at least not on hands. So I'm very excited to have products like this. And what you were saying in terms of maintenance, just to have less dry skin, that's the stage I'm at. So I mentioned I did have a flare-up, but now I was using, again, it's only been a few days, but I've started to use the dry skin product because I'm at the stage where the inflammation is done, the cracks are done, and it's just dry. So that's what I'm using now, and I'm quite enjoying it. So thank you.
Well, and I tend to look at the skin as like, we always recognize it as, okay, it's just our largest organ and it's just there to protect everything else. And yet our skin is so connected to the rest of our systems. There's all these neurotransmitters. It is connected to our immune system. It is connected to our nervous system and even our mindset. And it's been really interesting to see even the science advance, like the Journal of Behavior Medicine is doing work with the Journal of Dermatology because they're connecting the dots that mindfulness and different kinds of ways that you can engage will truly impact your skin condition. And so that's where I look at the skin as this opportunity, the same way you reduce your sugar and you drink water and it's holistic. Taking care of your skin in a different way where you're feeding it the nutrients and you're protecting it and you're hydrating it from the outside with the things that serve it, you'll actually feel the difference and you'll reduce your inflammation. And there'll be people that'll tell me like, hey, when I butter up with the Green Goo, like take a shower, maybe after a workout, put the pain relief product from shoulders down, put your bathrobe on, let your skin just drink it up. Maybe it's in the evening, so you go to bed, or you're starting your day. You just feel better. And like when your skin is not inflamed, you're happier and your cortisol is down, your immune system isn't trying to flare things up, and then you have clarity. So it's really interesting when you start thinking about your systems and how interconnected they are and how you can nourish them in various ways to just have optimal wellness.
100%, I agree. And we've been hearing for a while about the brain-gut axis, but I've recently heard the gut-skin axis.
Mm-hmm.
So that hopefully there'll be more research into that because that's really what this show has been about. If someone wants more information, where is the best place that they should go?
GreenGoo.com. We're also available on Amazon, but GreenGoo.com really gives you the breadth of products.
Okay, and as I mentioned earlier, we do have a link in our show notes that will take you to the website. If you want to purchase products, you will receive 10% off. Okay, well, thank you. This was very interesting, and I'm happy I could do a plant-based skincare episode with you. And are you coming out with any new products?
Always.
That we can look forward to? Yeah? Always.
We've got some fun deodorants that, again, thinking about your skin,
yeah,
it's great that your skin under your armpit absorbs 70% of what you put in it. So thinking about what to avoid is just as important as maybe what you can put in there. So we're really trying to advance the technology on the deodorant to be a more nutritive resource, not just something that says, hey, it's an aluminum-free deodorant. So things like ginkgo biloba, ashwagandha, holy basil, functional mushrooms, vitamin C, because why not? If it's going to absorb 70%, you might as well feed it the good stuff.
Wow, that's so... Is that out yet?
We have one available right now.
Okay. And you ship where?
All over the U.S., and including Hawaii and Alaska and Canada as well.
Okay. But not internationally yet?
Not internationally yet.
Okay. We've got listeners everywhere, so I've always asked the question on that.
I'll say email me directly and we might be able to make some magic happen.
All right, wonderful. Well, again, thank you so much. It was a pleasure and continued success.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here with you.
I hope you found this helpful. Please share, rate, leave a review, and follow Plant-Based Diet on your favorite podcast listening platform. You can find us on YouTube and Instagram at Alternative Food Network. We also publish a monthly newsletter that includes plant-based recipes, links to our latest episodes, and the occasional giveaway. You can subscribe for free by going to our website at alternativefoodnetwork.com and click the newsletter sign up button. Until next time, thanks for listening. All content provided or opinions expressed in this podcast are for informational purposes only and are not a substitute for professional medical advice. Please seek advice from your doctor or other qualified healthcare practitioner.